What does everybody hear? Birds. Understanding what you're seeing is understanding what you're hearing, is understanding what you're feeling, is understanding what you are tasting, and whatever you're doing is touching. Try to imagine the concept of what you can do through volume. Try to understand how powerful it is when you can really connect to the inner line settings to locations of just of a bird and its beauty. It holds all levels of signal locations. It tracks your settings in all line interference and direct locations. It's trying to communicate with you through the mindset locations and adaptations to its telepathy interference location. Right? So this is just part of what's happening with everybody to its set minds. To understand that sound barriers of birds or animals or cars or anything through voice is extremely powerful to your position, location, of directions, especially when you come into the virtual reality of its setting. The acceptance is already in position, location, of direct line setting. So understanding the concept is really to understand the volume and how important it is for you to really, really start listening to everything inside of you. This is the process that we don't understand. And to understand these things is to be understood. And I keep saying that over and over and over and over. And what you have to realize is to really get in position to levels of your sensories. You have senses. You have 5 within setting, 2 within traction, and you have also 3 communication setting, which is 8 in rotation. That's your infinity cycle. So the infinity is all levels of how you come into your direct location, your Stargate settings. Stargate is set up for you to understand your projects. Okay, you come into your own production setting, you come into levels of you. You come into your line settings when you come into the astral travels of you, the astral projections of you, the astral connections of you. Okay, the unified is set locations to all levels when we come into higher levels, into its unification, right? You come into your sectors and vectors and quads. Your position location is all levels of the mind setting, right? There's an adaptations that has to change. Putting you in a position location is truly to understand how to use your electrical settings, your electronic setting locations, electrical grid settings. It's all levels of you inside location to the heart generation light stream. Your heart is there for you 24/7, right? Now the track line center location is a 24 signal, taking you guys out of 7 line settings and putting you guys into 1 line division, 1 location, 1 tracking, 1 clocking, simultaneously living all at once. Imagine that, living 1 timeline and all levels of different frequencies. Okay, in your avatar system. Okay, this is a process that we have to realize how it's connected to all forms. Your forms and your position of your direct location is all levels of channel. You come into channel operations streamlines. This is all levels of position locations. So really understand these line connection is to understand why you're in this position is to get you into change your settings. Right? Change the operation circles, change the ground settings, change the security interference, change your positions, how you see yourself through creative cycles, changing your solar line settings, changing your direct locations to your heart setting. Now that's position locations into position line setting, okay, into a panel. 5 line setting line interference is 5 position locations into 5 million channels operations setting. 4 lines into 4 million setting locations, solar generation light streams and set locations. 3 into creative cycle line center interference. 2 in position of security, 1 in ground setting, and 0 in gravity locations into triangulation. So put you guys in position of your direct locations as your title defense. Your title defense is based on you and your involvement. You come into all communications to your contracts. Your contract is you through soul identification. Okay. This basically puts you in a better position to where you are through direction, right? And the title defense gets you in a better way to see yourself or where you're going to be in your future system. Okay. So I really want everybody to understand the importance of what your body is doing. Your body is in an action line into a mode system to reaction locations putting you guys into a better understanding that's understood how to really get into volumes of yourself inside more and more and more and more. The more you go into deeper core settings, the more you understand the position, location, and directions to its location setting. Setting communication, this is you jumping into the water setting. Okay, you have to come into the ground to its core of its setting location. Okay. The recognition timelines is truly understand how you put yourself in one chakra setting. Line strip in a 45-degree angle. Okay, angle line center percentage position location levels. So setting you in position locations, high center interference, sets position location arrow up and arrow down side location. Size graph is its position location of direction. Setting communication is a zero graph line setting to rotation center into all communication of volume. Setting communication to higher levels of travels puts you into your magnetic highway information line setting. All right. So it's all recognition location, how you see yourself in position location of direction. Okay. So it's important you understand the percentage of you. You guys started off with 99. Okay. Percent location 99 equaling condition percentage location, which is 0-1 set. Okay. Now that 0-1 set is now 0-1 communications in position of bracket into 3 zeros of calculation streamlines into your computer set. So recognizing that line in rotation interference is taking your position locations from here to here into center communication setting. Combust and set locations of levels of channel operator streamlines put you guys in positions to an atom setting. Okay, 114 line settings into slides. Slides comes into equilocation to projection. Projection locations comes into triangle. Triangle comes into box. Sets communications into telepathy of interference. Setting communications set lines in position to its direct locations of travels. Okay, so try to understand the set location when it comes into the sun communication and into the moon set location to its perception, and how you see everything from all calculation of sonar line setting. Okay. So I really want you to recognize more levels of you inside line. Your set system is the center of operation to everything through correlation to its own pi calculation setting. Okay. Recognizing space, recognizing time, split the position, location, directions into flux capacitor, into all of the solar setting, into ground setting, and rotation surface locations, into higher position line directions in higher set calculations to your chakra locations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 set locations. All right, solar generation light streams and high line rotations into an atom rotation surface location. Center communication is levels of orb channels, open all position location to direct location settings. Right, it's a very high rise set. So changing your set lines is really understand the adaptation, how to travel through the mind setting into your astral travel calculation settings. Okay. So recognizing you through space and time gets you a better position, location, of directions. So your bodies are in relay program settings and set location, setting locations to VR sets. Okay. So calculation lines. So V unification into relays comes into computer set line center location of 3 million sets. 3 million sets sets position locations into your set locations in high setting. Setting ground setting locations to open zero gravity locations puts you into position locations to all calculations, to all travels into your tesseract, your tetrahedron, and your octahedron location. So as March 1st comes in set location, the ground line setting is going to be in 3 waving cycles. These are 3 generation light streams. The position location center lines its position operation cycle, setting communication into set locations in 2 triangle sets. Direct line settings and portal communication line streams and set lines in high interference of 3 million miles away, set location. Setting position locations all levels. Once you get an activation line setting, you get into 3 circle locations. 3 circle locations comes into solar line setting. Now that sets location and position of panels. That puts position locations to all levels into your calculation. Setting correlation set lines and high center inference into triangulations of 2 position line directions. Okay, so that's 3 position locations, equaling positions of 2, equaling position location of 5. Okay, so that changes the 5 line setting into position location of 7. 7 circles its set locations into 4 channels of operation streamlines. Okay, now coming into position line setting, you have to really understand the rotation spin cycle. It sets all communication to all levels. It opens all position location of north, west, south, and east. Your position location comes into GOD. The geometric operation design, it comes into a miraculous tool set that comes into its mind setting of its operation of zero gravity location. Okay? Now it's extremely complicated because you don't understand what your body really is. It's a mechanism of travel. That's all it is. GOD, the geometrics operation of design. That's all it is. Box its system locations, travel lines of security line, position line directions, higher levels of communication into grounds of a walkway surface location of a hologram structure. So recognizing timelines, time switch interference, and understanding the clock locations. You got 1 clock, 2 clock, 3 clock, 4, 4 clock, 5, 5 clock, 6, 6 clock line settings. So you got 3 line position locations, 3 line position locations in one setting. Okay? And so the 3 million track setting, right, is going to set a line position locations over to 6. And 6 position of 7, 7 position of 8, 8 positions of 9, 9 positions of 10, 10 positions of 11, and set locations, and 12 centers its communication cycle. Okay, that's what you guys are coming into. But you're starting off at 3 million track setting. So in that position locations, when you activate the line streams, the 3 million line center locations comes into what? What does it come into? 3, 6, and 9 set. Okay. Center calculations, when you get it in position location of 6, line 7, and 7 location of 8, the center communication changes your Merkaba position location of direction. Center calculations box its center line inference, sets communication of 6, which is the moon setting, 7 into the galaxy setting, and 8 into the infinity. MGI. Okay, we come into magma. Magma, okay, in position location of galaxy to its intelligence setting. That's where we're coming into. So if you understand the magma, then you understand the intelligent line interference in position locations into 3 million layers of track location. This centerizes its center line in rotations to its synergy, sets communications all levels, and opens all track line centers at 369 location. Okay? Starting in position line directions. How's everybody doing? Danielle, calculations all levels of Sam, Jill, Don, Madeline, Leah, Airbender, Heather, Belinda. Let's see, Geneva, locations, Gypsy. All right, getting position line directions and what's going on with you guys is to understand the process, your histories and your ancestries, and how it's coming into rotation to its future set. So I'm just showing you what's happening with you now. Okay. All right. So as we get in that set location, let's go into position of Johnny. Let's go in position locations of Hemdall, Madeline, Trinity, Commander. All right. Let's see locations, Trinity, all says locations. All right. Make sure everybody's in order sets. Setting communication settings. High duration light stream location. Cami. All right. So it's important you understand what this is and what it means. Okay. So setting calculations all levels of 369. This is the process where we start locations, right? Into your triangle setting. Okay. 3 line division, 6 in rotations, 9 with line setting. Okay. So it's position locations all levels. Tracking center of 0 gravity interference, 0 in positions, and 0 in set location. Setting calculations to your line setting locations. That opens up higher levels of streamlines to your sun line and set locations to your moon line, a rotation setting. Okay, sun comes in position of 3, comes in 6, and business locations of 9. 3 line strips and set locations, all levels of high setting. Setting position locations, all levels when it comes into the moon setting location. Now the moon sets line conditions to its 3 emotional settings: 3, 3, 3. 2 panels of calculations, 3 line settings, 3 rotations, and 3 active streamlines. Okay, sets communication of heart, sets position location of mind, sets position locations of its soul. Okay, comes into HMS. Okay, line conditions to magma, set lines into intelligence, set position to galaxy set locations. So the magma is a set line in high line interference. It sets positional provocations. The liquid formation line stream sets a pixel active streamlines. So it modification sets its lines stream location and position locations on levels of its set line. It's complicated stuff, but the position location is coming to this line signature and set in 3 waving cycles into realms of communication setting in all levels of TV reception location. Blocking centers and high line rotation interference is 3 line setting, okay, into the 6. 3 sets here, 6 is over here, 9 is over here. So we come into 3, 6, 9, 6. Now we take the 69 set line interference, position locations, into 25. 25. Setting position of 3 into 3 equal locations of 25. In position locations, when it comes into 6, the set locations and set lines, and position locations of 9. Put that together, yin and yang. Okay? That's where we're coming into on Saturday. So the hologram stream is already set up. Set line interference of 3 waving cycles, high center generation light streams, and high position locations into static interference. The electrical line setting and electrical line position locations is going to be 3 channels of operation, 6 probing locations into 9 line settings of high setting. Okay? So if you understand the concept, and then you understand its relation, and then you understand all levels why you're in this predicament, is to truly understand the volume of you inside location. How to use the real position line setting to all position locations into your flux capacitor. Now you set lines of 3 in position location of 6, 9 sets line setting, right? So you have to really understand how to put the 6 in position locations into the center operations, and bring the 9 in location to center operation, becomes yin and yang of its process. Okay? Setting calculations all levels is 3, 6, and 9. Box its center locations, the highest setting. 3 line setting, 6 in position in all levels. So you got 3 lines, 9 lines, and 6 position. You change the 6 in position location of 6. It be position location equal locations of 9. It sets position location high setting. This is how you track interference and take out all levels of the physical adaptation lines of density system. All right. So it's amazing how it comes into track line rotation. Changing that line rotation comes into 6. Changing that rotation comes into a line set location of 7. And set line conditions, instead of 9 line setting, comes into 8 rotation into higher levels of channel of operation to its square set location. Okay. Very complicated. All right. Setting signals in high setting is really understand how to use your antennas and your umbrella locations, right? There's your umbrella. There's your satellite settings. 2 position location of track locations, right? Now, the line center location comes into an ether channel that rotates its 2 panel that splits its line center rotation to your Earth line rotation. The Earth is going to set line position of travels in set locations. Okay, like this. This is your Earth line setting. Okay, it's going to rotate spin cycles in this set of locations. It's going to go into the center line setting in position line conditions. Okay, and then it's going to travel right through line rotations into 3 million set location. Okay, so that's what's it's all about understanding how to set these things up, right? So the adaptation changes 3, and then you come into all levels of travel locations into sonar lines. You come into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 panels of operation of sonar. The echo line center line and rotation interference of your water containment system sets an energy wash into a rainbow stream, into a rainbow graph, into position locations to all line centers to your hologram stream location. Okay. So as it sets symbols and set line into rotations, you come into this position locations. A hologram. Okay, so you got 3 million tracks, 6 million zeros, okay, and you have 9 line location settings. That's where you're coming into to your triangulation system. It's coming into a timestamp, into bar graph location setting, into rotation cycle set, in rotation position of a box location. Now, the box location comes into a T reception line. This is where you come to your theta settings. This opens all position location and track interference of a walkway surface in rotation. Okay, the setting communication comes into what we call line setting location is the arc. Arc comes in, travels line setting in position locations, brings a high center and high rotation interference, and opens all levels of panels in more open door dimensional settings. Okay, walking through the position location of its arc sets communication to a new solar generation light stream in set location. As it streams its set lines, the 3-line position location has 3 zeros, its set locations, bracket its interference, 6 into 3 0 locations, bracket its interference, into 9, 0, 0, 0, bracket its interference location at 3, 6, and 9. The plot division location comes into all the position of the channel operator streamlines. So in set locations, that's 3 billion channels of operator streamlines, that's 6 billion operation stream interference, and that's 9 million set locations into docile calculations into a 24 signature equaling centers of docile calculation of percentage and position line setting into a 48,000 line conditions to a window and 3 bracket locations to a 72 computer set line setting in rotation position location of 72,000 rounds and calculation streamlines into 144 of a crystal location. Okay. So how's everybody doing so far? Yeah, all through triangulation settings. Yeah. Let's see. Plasma connection to streams of diamond core connecting with core versus Mother Earth connecting. No. Flowering, positivity, protection all around of eternity. Well, that's exactly what it is. The location settings. Getting you guys ready into your 144 crystal grid set locations. Right? So what we do is we take the 24%. We take the 24%, we equalize locations into 50% line. Okay, there's 50% locations. That's ovals of channel line position locations. Okay. And set lines into 24 signature line setting, docile calculations, into a 24,000 line of set location. Okay. So you have to really recognize what is going on with your body and cellular settings. It's all levels of location, your cell modification cycles. Setting communications into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So setting communications into 5 sets. Setting communications into 2 sets. Setting communications into 5 equals 3 sets. 3 sets up position location of 3, 6, and 9 line connections. Indirect locations into position locations to your teleportation streamlines in operation. Okay. So understanding the volume is understanding the travel. If you understand the travel, then you understand how this is set up in location. Okay. This option always informs just to understand the visual locations and what's happening with 3, 6, and 9. Okay. Which is an energy graph streamlines its locations to its arc. The arc is open in all position locations to 2-line setting and rotation to 5-line positions, equaling bracket location of 3. 3 sets line position locations of 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 into 5 locations. Okay. So trying to grasp that, are you? It's very complicated, isn't it? Just try to set these things up. But it's amazing how we come into this line setting. right? But once you understand your position locations, after 25th, everything will come in line signal. So it's going to be in 3 graph lines, 3 0 locations. This is how it's set up, position location of UFO set. I'm going to set locations into all levels, high center interference, high direct locations. You want to understand this, it's too complicated. We'll start with this location. Now this sets up line connections into northwest, south, and east and set location. Okay. And then we come into line cross streams and set lines. Okay. Once we come into that, we come into planet setting, triangulation and position location directions. Now, once we come into that line setting, we automatically come into a set lines of a 6th line in a rotation cycle that's in position location to its Stargate set location and high line setting. So we take the 6th line in position locations into 9 line setting. Okay. Now, the whole idea is here is basically get you guys down to one number sequence location of a pattern. The pattern position line centers in a line communication puts you in a higher direct line setting when you come in and out of your 7-day sequence, getting you guys in position locations into all levels. Channel upper streamlines of 10, setting position 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So you want to screenshot that, go right ahead. So once we get into one line setting, we panel its position locations and one line cross center calculations. So 1, 2, which is a 12 line setting, we box its locations, 12 center its communications into all calculations to a half pipe. Half pipe rotates its 12 DNA track line centers and rotates its spin cycles high setting. It opens up a whole level of operation cycle in its set location. All right. So getting in that direct line setting, we come into 6 equal conditions of volume. We come into position of velocity, equal condition of E, equal conditions of 9, 9 position location of 10, 10 position of 11, and 11 position location of 12. All right. So the position of the volume and the velocity sets line streams. 6 comes into triangulation to all levels of correlation, comes into a diamond core set line setting, comes into AI map sequence line conditions into all levels. AI comes in energy line rotation into its positions all levels in your GOD set location. It travels in positions to higher levels of travel location and set lines into 9 line settings, circle and interference, travel location positions, one docile connection, one docile, DOSL, sets lines into all gravity set locations to the moon set location emotional setting. So when you get in that direct line setting, you have to truly understand how to use the energy graph streams. It sets position locations to your tracker interference. This opens all communications to your center lines. So you have a 0 line rotations into 3 triangles, sending communications into 6 line position, and you have 9 line settings and rotations of a V graph center. V equals graph center. Okay. Now you take the 2 line center rotation interference, energy graph lines, crop circle location to its ground setting. You take the high center interference, 0 gravity comes into levels of ground levels to a location of 2, 2 position locations in line conditions of 3, 2 equals 3 line setting, 3 comes into 4 line rotations, 4 sets up 5 to the high center high in the heart generation light stream, travels this position location to high travel location, center calculations into 6 position locations, all levels of a throat pattern water containment setting, opens up 7 line centers to its theta calculations into its video graph line setting, rotations to its 8 line rotations and position locations into a magnetic highway of a new operation cycle set location. Now, when you get into that position line direction, you really try to understand the channels of operation streamlines. This gets you in a better operation interference. This opens all channel operation stream locations to your set lines. Getting really, really complicated, isn't it? So just try to understand all those number sequence locations. Okay, so you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the 5 line sets, 5 here, 5 here, 5 here, 5 here. All right, so you got 4 position locations equal line conditions of 5. 5 is the location of 6. Now 6 is set location of 7, and 7 is in theta line center rotations. Setting location of 3 million is a triangle location. Okay. So as the 3 stays in set lines, it centers its communication cycle. Box its 6 locations, and 3 line centers comes into location 6 line centers into high center location of 9 into yin and yang. Okay, 6 and 9 at the top line setting right there. Okay. So there's a lot of things you have to understand how to set locations when you come into your realities. Your virtual reality is a VR line setting. So it's really understand the mechanism location of travels, the operation surface, the operation connections, the surface line triangles. If you bracket line centered of zero gravity interference and you set position location of travels, location to this line setting, it gets more complicated when you don't understand the rotation surface or anything through line setting in rotations to 2 triangle set locations. So you are the center operation setting. You can see yourself, right? Setting calculations into triangulations into 3 spot set locations. This sets line position of an XD1000 or a UFO on rotations. Scan sets and set locations into center operation streamlines and a rotation of graph interference into a dimensional round setting. Okay. So when you come into that position of direction, try to recognize the zero line settings. And I really want you to really understand the process because you guys have another test coming up from 24 to 36. The recognition of timeline is to understand how you use your communication line interference. You got 2 panels of calculations, right? Size graph high interference, seismic activity, setting line position location of 0 line into 1 line into rotations of 2 line and set locations into 3 position. Okay. So really understand how to recognize these things, right? Because it's all hologram streamlines. 0 gravity, 0 gravity, 0 gravity. There's 0 gravity in 3 panels of calculation. All right, which is a structure wall. A wall sets locations in the high communication setting, takes out track lines. That position locations opens as box locations to all of us a ground setting rotation interference. Now this position location of directions is high rises its communications all levels of channel operation streamlines. So complicated stuff, isn't it? And that's all 3, 6, and 9. Imagine that. All that is 3, 6, 9. Right? I'm showing you how you can use your GODs and all different formations and how you come into the variation line settings, how to use your thought positions, right? That's the calculation modification that you have to get into. The simulation is in set lines into your thoughts. That's where you got to be positive in all ways and form locations. All right. All right. Let's see. Ken S. Sending coins to Black Family into Universal Solar Systems. Engage, Overwatch. You can see location settings. So really start recognizing the position of directions all through structure, location, hologram. Okay. Nothing but a hologram. So your avatar is coming into its own architect setting, right? Which is all geometric of epigenetic setting lines. Okay. Epigenetic setting and set locations into higher levels of travel communication. Now, the ground lines and the 0 gravity interference is set position location of 12, equal locations into 12, line conditions equals 12, line position location in 24, sets communication system in position line directions to 24,000 lines of 0 gravity locations. Okay. So remember, always in position locations, if you're getting in line setting locations, because you have to really bracket settings. Once you get into set location, it's important you use brackets every single time you're using zeros. You know why? Because you're splitting it up. All right. 0 gravity 1, 0 gravity 2, 0 gravity 3, 0 gravity 4. Solar generation light stream. Okay. Graph line 1, graph line 2, graph line 3, graph line 4, graph line 5. 5 5 panels on 0 gravity, 5 panels on 0 gravity rotation, 5 panels on 0 gravity rotation of systematic line conditions, and 5 gravity resets in set locations, and 5 generation light streams in high rotations. Okay, so it gets more complicated, right? So I'm trying to get you guys in position locations how to restructure your line streams, especially when you get into more levels of U. Really understand the correlation and how it works. This is extremely high rise, isn't it? You never thought that what VR means in its position line directions. Welcome to TV world. So to set signals in high SIN and high line interference locations, let's direct locations at CAMI. 5, 5, 5. All right. So that's 5 channels, 5 operation, 5 streams. Right? Set, 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 set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 line setting, 5 in positions, 5 in center, triangulation position. Okay. So you have to understand the position locations and what numbers mean in all track lines. The recognition of timeline is 0 gravity. You start there. The center location is position locations into security of 2 equal conditions to all levels of Pluto communication. Sets communication to all levels of triangulation. Triangulation comes into all set a point system, point system, point system. That's 3 point systems in position line directions, in position line directions, in position line direction. Triangulation. Okay. So the more you get muscle memory to your avatar, your hologram, your rotation cycles, your inner line conditions, your inner perspective, and how you see yourself lines in your hologram structure and communication system, you understand more levels of its architect location. Okay, because that's what the avatar is doing. It's creating its anomalies of all levels of grounds formation, right? To work these things up, if you're standing in set location, this is what you're doing. You're creating location of 0. And then you come into line position locations into 1. And then you come in position location of 2. And then you position locations of 3. And then position of 4 and positions of 5 first, right? There's the panel communication right there. So you got 0 gravity at 1, 0 gravity at 2, 0 gravity at 3, 0 gravity at 4, and 0 gravity at 5 in set location. Okay? That's an inner line communication setting to a wall. There's a circuit panel right here in position. This is a dimensional door setting. The center communication comes into all levels of channel operation streamlines, guys. It opens all levels of portal communication. It opens up a dimensional door, okay? All through 0 gravity location. That's just 0. So do you understand the importance why 0 is so important to all level position locations, all levels open up dimensional door line setting, all through a circuit wall or pocket setting line interference or wall communication cycle lines? So in that direct line setting, you have to really recognize your position locations, how to use your chakras of activations of number sequence locations in the code weaving, code sectors, code traps, high setting. Now code trap, okay, let's do code trap. 0, 0, trap, 0, 0. Trapping line position infinity cycles. You got infinity line rotation conditions of 8, 8 off signal locations, right? So in position locations, the back force line send is 8, 8 position locations, right? So you got 8, 8 in past and 8, 8 in the future line. That's a trap in position of 3 triangle line settings, TRAP. Okay. Center calculation all levels is bringing the 0 back in 0, 0 back in 0, 0 back in 0, and 0 back in 0. 4 line position of 4 panels, 4 equal lines of panels in set locations, channels your operation streamlines, and all levels of balance location. All through trap. Okay? Are we having fun? Getting complicated? Confirmation? So really recognize how to get in relationships to your numbers, guys. Okay? Because everything's going to be live February 25th. You have to recognize the number sequence patterns. You have to recognize the core recognition line setting. You have to recognize the activation stream locations. You have to understand the code weaving line settings. You have to understand the selection communication of communication line streams. You have to understand the operation cycles. You have to understand the position location directions. You have to understand the hologram stream interference. You have to recognize all communications to your target settings. But where you open up through activation. Okay. So recognizing line settings at bracket lines. Okay. Equine conditional levels, its volumes, its system, velocity, and vector calculation. Cross and streamlines comes into one UFO line setting, rotations and position, all levels of scan lines, and rotation interference. So there's a lot of things that you have to understand how these things are set at location. So when you come into your VR sets, equalocation of sets lines, that comes into umbrella line position of satellite set location, setting communications into ground setting into two panels of operation. You got your position locations of pi, your set lines, into a center gravity, center equals gravity, equal line center 0, and position locations into pyramid setting. Okay. Pyramid setting comes into triangulation. So it docils its calculation streamlines in position of time lines. It opens all graph stream locations into all levels of graph interference, setting communication to its positional direction. So knowing exactly how fast you can go is knowing exactly the information that's given to you on a protocol channel. A protocol channel is line center locations in the bracket line centers in 3 waving cycles. It sets line position locations in the levels of an alpha channel. The alpha channel comes in position of beta. Beta position locations equal line center line interference in set locations and high channel operation streamlines into all calculations into theta interference. Interference locations in levels of AI calculation. So it's important you really understand the expansion of your mind and what it can do through capacity. To really understand the bandwidth that you can have through all levels of use through exploration. The exploration of you is humongous at all level signal locations, right? This is where you go into hieroglyphics. We'll get into that line setting, high interference. Hieroglyphics is a levitation line setting. You set location of pyramid settings and location of travel. Setting calculations all levels, set locations and position line directions, how to put all levels of calculation streamlines. So you got a position location directions here, and position locations of here, and position locations of here, set location, right? Hieroglyphics is all about understanding how to put this all together through number sequence locations of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, and 12 locations. So the 6 line sets up, okay? You have 7 line center and high line rotation, which is its galaxy setting equalocation of galaxy surface. Setting communications into 8 line setting and rotations into all position locations and calculations. Setting communications all levels of high line rotation. Setting communication all levels of travel recognition. Setting communication all levels of high setting interference. Setting communication all levels of travel recognition. Setting communication all line center and interference location of 12 line settings. Setting communication all levels of high setting. So you really have to understand how to set locations into magma, okay, into its galaxy of line conditions of its intelligence. Magma, gravity, gravity line center location of galaxy sets, right? You can bracket its set lines, bring G in position locations, bring G in position locations, equal line condition levels into its line condition of its triangle. So it's all about understanding how to use the ground setting in a rotation of circles, set location of 0, equal location of ozone, set location. So the intelligence is all formation locations of its AI line setting that sets all position locations into levels in your position locations to your ecosystem. So there's so many ways and forms to really understand how to travel. Traveling your line setting is to understand how to use you through all measure of calculations to all position line settings into scales of activation setting rotation. Okay, circle interference, yin and yang process, correlation balance, center communication, allocate timelines, time streams, and atom rotation. Wow, isn't it? It's all through balance in flux capacitor. Orion's belt sets line communications all levels of high setting, okay, into set location, right? The ground sets all the operation to your pyramid setting. The rotation spin cycle opens up another orb generation stream location. The high generation light streams and puts you into higher communications into 2 panels of operation of portals in set location. So really understand the recognition of time is really understand your position location, which is all levels. Leave in the now setting puts you into levels of future calculation setting. Okay. Reversing set locations puts you in more levels of balance line setting. So you recognizing your set locations puts you in all levels of activation. It's pretty wild when you understand more levels of you through space and how it goes through connections. So the recognition line setting, the really understanding is the transmitting and receiving its information location that comes from its stargates, right, with sets location, right? Okay. It's really interesting to look at these locations. So you just keep going and going and going and going and going, and there you are, right? Center calculations, all levels. Okay. Here's Orion's belt. There's the flux capacitor. You are in the center, and all you're doing is expanding your position locations into travel recognition. That's all you're doing. Nothing else, nothing more. The frequency line setting location is open to all position locations and how you travel through magnetic line settings. It opens up orbits, channels, interstellar, interconnect lines, interlace line interference. You can come into theta communication setting into 2 box locations. 2 channels operate streamlines in a kaleidoscope location. Channel operates and streamlines in a down rotation shift line communication. Open up levels of a dimensional door setting location. Right? Recognizing these line setting is truly understand the orbs of you. Orbs, orbits, interstellar, intermode, interconnect, interlace, interface. It's all correlated in position location to your energy core setting. The galactic interface is to understand how to recognize the position locations of you through space, time, and its correlation of its pi. Okay? So recognizing these things through Orion's belts gets you in a better understanding how to get into 0 gravity, into 1 position, into security, into 3 cycles, into 4 line setting, into 5 position. Okay? You have to understand to break these things down. You start with this, and then you come into this equal location of 5, in position location of 4, in position location of 3, in position locations of 2, in position locations of 1. Okay? And again, you break it down. Okay? So you're creating a data stream of numbers, right? Each number has its process. 5 equals location of 3. So 3 line settings, line position of 8. So 8 comes in infinity cycle and a rotation spin cycle and 8 line center rotation. Now, the 8 rotation center lines its communication and position locations to all levels of high center calculations of a vortex chamber. Very complicated, right? I can keep going and going and going and going and going and going and going. Right? This is what you can do when you activate your chakras. You have to understand the importance from 0 just to 5. Okay? So that's what you focus on is your mind of telepathy is getting stronger past the location. Okay? Setting communications of its equipment sets location to your umbrellas. 0 gravity interference, 1 line setting, line position location of 0. 0 sets 1 bracket interference of 0 gravity locations into line position location of its triangle. Triangle sets line position location into Fibonacci swirl line center rotations into all position locations into a kaleidoscope. Simple, easy, done. That's travel right there. But that's all through 0 equals 1 equals 0. So 0 can jump scar line setting and 0 rotations back into 0 gravity and bracket's own center location. Sets position location, and there it is. There's the pi in set location. Ooh, see how it works? Are we having fun yet? So take a look at that one more time, because all you're doing is you're creating formulas. So it's going to give you a better line setting. I'll give you a very high rise formula, and we'll lead communications, and we'll center line in positions to all levels. Track interference on Zoom. So you got 0. Okay. Now, once you understand 0, you can bracket setting. Okay. So it comes into all position locations to its UFO line setting, the correct own circle location. Right. So you got 0 gravity in positions to a UFO. Okay. So that's 0 equal locations into UFO line center rotation interference. UFO sets line position to ground setting opens up a new position location of travel line center location. As center communications comes into 0 line position of another 0 location, center calculations tend to 2 equal line conditions into all levels of 0. 0 comes into bracket interference line position, which is all levels of what? Indirect locations to open windows of 48 location setting. Okay, so recognizing all this through 0. Okay, I just keep going and going and going and going. Formulas of equations, just really understand how to set these things up. You have to understand the film strip line settings into your 4-line rotation. This is your pyramid. That's all it is. So setting calculations 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 4 sets equal locations into 12. 12 equal locations into 24. 24 comes into 48. 48 comes into 72. And 72 sets line position locations into 144 of a new crystal grid setting location. Which means your high rising line setting into 144, into 244, into 344, and into 444 line settings. Into higher communication, to higher line division location, to higher pyramid set location. Higher levels of channel operation line setting. Film strips, high center line, high rotations into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 line strips, center graph line rotations, crisscross, high center interference, indirect location. Okay. Higher levels of locations into your pyramid setting. So, all right. I think that's good. I think everybody needs to rest. Take 5 minutes, and I'll see you guys on Zoom. Adios.